It's time for the podcast. Yeah, the podcast is starting.
What's a podcast?
It's all gonna be alright in the end. It's gonna be alright. And if you've got some worries, my dear little friends, please rest your busy minds, because it's finally time for stories from now and then. Hey everybody, welcome back to Stories from Now and Then. My name is Captain Blunderface, and I'm here in the old library, back with another story. Well, another part of a story, that is. Deprecatus is fully asleep. I'm not sure right now if I should wake him up to hear the rest of the story, or just let him sleep. He was so excited to hear it, but he also loves to nap. What should I do? I suppose cats are known for naps, so maybe he wants to do what he was born to do. But maybe he feels he has naps covered. Maybe he wants to be known for appreciating stories. Out of all the cats, he's up there for story appreciation. While I decide what to do, we have a shout out for Thea and Charlie from Salt Lake City, Utah. Thea is 6 and Charlie is 4, and they especially love Deprecatus and want to know what he looks like and how he came to live in the old library. Well, Thea and Charlie, today's story is for you. And I can tell you that Deprecatus' fur is longer than most cats, and that he has blue eyes. He's also pretty fast when he wants to zoom around the library. His fur color could be described as... Oh, sorry. Looks like I just got a message from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by the all-new Stories from Now and Then coloring book. We have pages that match the stories, and you can color along as you listen. To learn more, check out our Instagram profile at Stories from Now and Then. And with that, we'll see if Deprecatus wakes up on his own, and we'll let Nicola take it away for Wind in the Willows, Part 4.
Good old Badger and Rat and Mole were really trying to help by keeping Toad at home. They thought he couldn't get in trouble if he was just inside. But he tied his bedsheets together and he climbed out of his window. And now, bad news. He's in big trouble. He's been caught by a policeman, and he's now been arrested. Do you think the friends can help him now? Let's find out in this final part. The Wind in the Willows, Part 4. The story, gathered in fragments and completed later with many interruptions from Toad himself, ran thus. He had stopped a motor car upon the road by admiring it extravagantly, persuaded its owner to let him sit inside for one brief educational moment, and then, seized by old desire, had driven away at full speed while the owner shouted behind him, "Naughty Toad, that's not his car." And, unfortunately for Toad, roads contain policemen. He tried to explain that he didn't mean to steal the car, but the judge didn't believe him, and he sent him to prison. When Rat first heard this, he covered his face. When Mole heard it, he said, "Surely prison will cure him." When Badger heard it, he answered, "We shall hope so, though hope has disappointed us before." Yet, prison did what lectures had not. For the first time in Toad's life, the days passed heavily. Toad, deprived of comfort, applause, and movement, found prison life intolerably dull. The walls were bare, meals arrived without ceremony. No one admired his opinions. Worst of all, no one believed his explanations. At last, for perhaps the first time in many months, he sat quietly and thought about his own behaviour. It was during one such melancholy afternoon that kindness came unexpectedly. The jailer's daughter, who brought his meals, had heard enough of Toad's speeches to feel pity despite herself. "You do seem miserable," she said. "My dear young lady," said Toad sadly, "I am a ruined creature, once master of a noble house, now fallen among iron bars." This speech, being delivered with genuine sorrow, affected her. A plan soon formed. The following evening she returned carrying a bundle. Inside were the plain clothes of a washerwoman. "To escape as you are is impossible," she whispered. "But no one looks twice at the laundry." Toad stared. At first he refused, mostly because he didn't like to wear the bonnet. But there was no other way. And so, awkwardly disguised, he left prison pushing a laundry cart, trying very hard to appear ordinary. The escape succeeded, chiefly because Toad looked like such a funny washerwoman that no one suspected it could actually be a disguise. At last he reached a river, and by great good fortune he found a small boat drifting loose near the bank. Too tired to worry, he just climbed in and pushed off. The river accepted him quietly. Evening spread across the water. Reeds whispered. For the first time since his imprisonment began, Toad felt something like peace. But peace did not last long, for the boat belonged to a bargewoman returning downstream. Seeing a stranger in her boat, she approached and demanded to know who he was. Toad, abandoning his washerwoman disguise, confessed enough of his troubles to win her reluctant sympathy. She agreed to take him part of the way home, provided he worked. This proved difficult, for Toad admired labour far more than he performed it. By the time morning came, he had tangled the ropes, dropped equipment, and nearly upset the breakfast kettle. The bargewoman's patience ran out. At the next landing, she put him ashore firmly, though not unkindly. Still, Toad was closer to home, and he had learned something alarming. While Toad had been in prison, rough creatures from the wild wood, stoats and weasels mainly, had occupied Toad Hall. The servants were gone, the doors were watched. The house itself had been taken from Toad. At first, he could not believe it. "My hall? Impossible!" But by afternoon, he had seen enough from a distance to know it was true. Hiding in the bushes, Toad watched the stoats and the weasels moving around his house, lighting fires, eating food, and treating the place like it was their own. Toad was outraged and genuinely distressed. He loved Toad Hall deeply, and now he could not enter his own front door. He found Rat and Mole by the river that evening, where they had just heard rumour of his escape. Rat, seeing Toad muddy, bonnetless, and exhausted, said only, "Well." Mole embraced him at once. Badger, summoned quickly, listened without interruption to the whole story. When Toad finished, Badger stood. "Tonight we take back Toad Hall." And so, after dark, the four set out. Through fields, beneath hedges, then by narrow underground passages known only to Badger, they reached an old, forgotten tunnel leading directly beneath Toad Hall. The air smelled of earth and old stone. Their lantern light moved softly across brick walls laid long ago. Above them, faintly, came distant voices from occupied rooms. At last, they reached a concealed panel opening behind the pantry. Badger lifted it carefully. They could hear voices now, laughter, careless footsteps, plates knocked roughly upon tables. "Ready?" whispered Rat. The moment the panel opened, Badger moved first. He emerged with such force and certainty that surprise did half the work before resistance began. Rat followed swiftly. Mole, though trembling, found courage in movement itself. Toad came last, shouting more loudly than necessary, but with admirable enthusiasm. The stoats and weasels, caught entirely unprepared by the 4 animals appearing from the walls, lost heart quickly. Some fled upstairs, some through windows, some directly out the front door. Within minutes, the hall belonged again to its rightful owner. Silence returned gradually. A chair righted, a lamp relit. The old clock in the corridor ticked as though nothing unusual had happened. Toad stood in the centre of his hall and looked around. Then he spoke very quietly. "I have been a fool." The others didn't know what to say, because this, from Toad, was very surprising. After a while, Badger nodded. "Yes," he said, "often." Toad accepted this. "But," he added, "I shall try to improve." Rat looked doubtful but kind. Mole smiled openly. They sat together in the great dining room to have breakfast while the sun rose and the wind moved softly through the willows. All was well. All had always been well. All would be well again. I do really love a happy ending when everything gets put right and friends come together. These 4 friends could not be more different, each one of them very unique. But the friendship they have is so strong and so special that they can do amazing things together, like fight off all those stoats and weasels, just the 4 of them. You know, here's a question for everybody listening. Which creature would you like to be friends with the most? Would it be the cozy and friendly mole, or the brave and joyful rat? Perhaps the exciting, adventurous toad, or maybe the wise old badger. They're all so special. It's fun to think about. Okay, back to you, Captain.
That is the whole story. Wind in the Willows is officially wrapped. Thank you to everybody for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed our first 4-part story. Oh, Deprecatus. He woke up just in time for the whole story, didn't you? Did you end up hearing the whole thing? Great. So, Deprecatus, what was your favorite character? You know what? I think that was my favorite character too. Remember, if you'd like a shout out, just send us a DM on Instagram at Stories From Now and Then. And if you haven't seen the new Stories From Now and Then coloring book, go check out our Instagram page as well. Stories From Now and Then is narrated by the amazing Nicola Ward, music by Captain Blunderface, and Captain Blunderface played by Evan Wiebe. We will see you all next time on
Stories from now and then.